Yeah. We seem to have the power to be able to take photographs of planet Pluto, which I have no intention of visiting. I don't care how many photographs they show, how many brochures they present. I don't want to go there. Well, we can do that. Why can't we live peacefully on this earth? Or even in one country? Or even in one person can't live peacefully with themselves? Why, if we're so powerful, why can't we do the most important thing, you think, which is to, stop anguish, agitation, fear, hostility, craving, disappointment, depression. That's the question, isn't it? It's a bit of a mind stopper. Because actually we're not that powerful. We need some help. That's why a wise person restrains their agency, their doingness, saying, you've done a lot, you can do a lot, but this isn't getting you to the end of suffering and stress, is it? Fundamentally? You can preoccupy oneself with this and that, do crosswords, plan, design a house, plan kinds of things. What is that sense of a constant push, a compulsive push, to keep doing something and going somewhere and making something? Isn't that pressure? Is that comfortable? What would it be like if that wasn't there? Would it be boring? Maybe. What would it be like if it wasn't there? Why don't you try and do it? Find out. Yeah. Compulsiveness, habit, drive, something that isn't actually under our control, because compulsiveness is kind of an addiction that keeps pushing. Yeah. So now we turn to the nature of the heart, where the drives come from. And that's the direction. How do you do that? You ask how you're feeling. Quite simple. How are you feeling? Oh, okay. Yeah. Of course, you're not in agony. But you feel settled, peaceful. Probably a few things we've got to sort out or do, or and you go, well, really give some attention to these bubbly energies. They're not evil, but they're very conundrum. Who's in charge of this? Who's directing this? What's directing it? You find it's a drive, a push, not a person. It's like a push and a drive. And it's aiming for something that you can't achieve. It's aiming for ending of stress and suffering. but that drive itself is stress and suffering. Is pressurized, is compulsive, is dragging us around. Saying, follow me and I'll take you to happiness. But it is unhappiness. Yeah. So then we, So instead we look at, what's experiencing that push, that drive. How do you find that? Well, the suggestion is just if you using your bodily presence to just give something that has no particular drive of its own. It's just sitting there, it's just breathing in and out. And go to that. And then that's going to give the heart some anchor, something to give attention to, so that compulsive drive is being challenged by what's present. Remember, the compulsive drive is towards what's absent, what we don't have. So we say, well, what do you have? Why don't you really get into that? You have presence, definitely present here. And that's not just an idea, you can feel, the body gives you a way into that. Steady, breathing. It's not driven, it's just organically, rhythmically going through these changes that breathing in doesn't keep, I've got to keep breathing in, I've got to keep breathing in, I want more breathing in. No, it just gets to the end and lets go. It doesn't demand you breathe in more. And then breathing out and let it go, and then it gets to the end of that and it drops. It doesn't say breathing's out the best thing to do. You really got to get your breathing out more and more. No, it just stops. It goes to ending. And in the ending, the energy releases. So perhaps when we're cultivating breathing or using it, one of the most important pieces to get is the pauses between the out-breath and the in-breath, and between the in-breath and the out-breath. If you can't find any pause, then follow the rhythm and try to relax your muscles in your face, draw your attention away from your head, go down into your belly. Yeah? So the breathing and the even length, deliberately make an effort, a slight effort to just really breathe out long, breathe in long, and breathe out long, all the way out, which you can do by relaxing the muscles in your belly, relaxing your shoulders, opening your throat, just taking a little bit more time, breathing in long, breathing out long, breathing in, and see, and then, because when it becomes like that, you can sense the fading out. When the out-breath fades, at that moment, energy isn't going anywhere. Yes. Now, generally, something comes in to try and get in there, fill it up. So often on the ending of the out-breath, you start filling it up with what next? What's the next breath? How am I supposed to do this? Yeah. Or I've got this important thing to think about. So that's the place where you just kind of really lean your attention, get interested in where does the energy go of breathing out? Where does it go? You're not dead. And you just listen. And you can't follow it with thought. You can follow it if you're sensitive to feeling. You feel that flexing of the tissues. And if you get more sensitive to feeling, you can also feel the quality of breathing out, the energy of breathing out. It's not just an idea, it's a feeling. What does it feel like? How do you know what the difference is between breathing in and breathing out? Well, breathing out feels different. Very obvious. It's a kind of something releasing. Breathing in is something rising, directing, gathering. And breathing out is something releases. We do it all the time. And when you say, oh, let's take a break, you sit down and, you just breathed out, didn't you? Because you wanted to relax. And then you think, okay, right, we've got to get to work. Okay, here we go. You take an in-breath. Because it's just a reflex, you do it. So you can trace that, the feeling of the energy. So you're operating, not your thinking mind, but your feeling sensitivity. Yeah. And then you feel that goes quieter and softer and gentler and traces, and then you feel an openness. You feel a sense of space, you could say, openness, where energy releases. And you're not dead. And you can be very awake. Okay? And then you see what happens. Pretty soon, someone's going to start pulling in again, which is the in-breath. That's why the Buddha couched this in terms of feeling. It says thoroughly patisambhedi, thoroughly feeling, thoroughly sensitive to breathing in, breathing out. Thoroughly sensitive to the whole body. Not to a point, but to how this general sense of embodiment softens and relaxes and empties. And then it fills. And it empties. And it fills. So you begin to understand energy. Understand it, at least be able to trace it. And how those pauses and those spaces allow the mind to let go. Because at that moment there's nothing to decide, nothing to organize. And the heart is very interested in being open and quiet. It's a unique opportunity. So take some time for your practice. course, stopping thinking isn't so easy, so you use thinking like a question. How am I feeling? How does this feel? So using thinking, just kind of direct it towards the feeling, not towards more thinking. We'll take a few questions. So, these both questions rotate around a certain conflict between meditating and thinking. So, one question is, so when I meditate, my mind's calm, I can hear the breathing. At the same time, my mind is also multitasking, thinking of outstanding matters. Should I just stop meditating and when there's quiet moments and do some multitasking? Another question. So, in the quiet moments in meditation, I can't seem to prevent the pressure or the momentum to think about myself or think about unfinished tasks and how to arrange them, how to organize my things. Can I allow myself to do this integration? That is, to think things through in a calm, reflective way, I guess. Or try to push away all thoughts and focus on emptiness and stop self-critical. So I imagine the self-critical is to do with the self-reflection. So thinking. And meditating. So I think yesterday I was trying to unpack what can be meant by meditation. It can mean a number of things. The whole process I sort of was about clearing, steadying, opening the heart, and the aim of meditation is the main thing, is to, however you do it, whatever it is about using internal qualities of the heart, the mind, the body, the things we live with, part of our living experience, a live living experience that we're intimately involved with, how to use this to cultivate and clear away other things that we feel intimately involved with, such as craving, ill will, worry, doubt, anxiety, suffering, stress in various ways. So we look at it very kind of much more open idea of what do we mean by this meditating thing. And it's really about using what we have directly as a basis, our life, our living entity, to clear away blemishes, aggravations that also seem to be bound up with it. And we might imagine, that we're intimately involved with sights, sounds, thoughts, touches, and these things. But no, actually, not really. You close your eyes, the visual world disappears. And of course, even if our eyes are open, you see it would be separate from the visual world. You can move around, and the sights and sounds and sensations and thoughts all come and go. So it's a pretty it's not a really solid thing, is it? World of consciousness. It's like this rain, it's just pouring, flooding, and yet you can't grab any of it. And it changes. So, although we seem to be very intimately involved with it, but somehow not enough to be able to find a solid place in it. So we might say this world of the consciousness is not our fundamental intrinsic reality, it's an acquired reality. Just like we might say You know, I can wear clothes, I can wear a t-shirt, jeans, whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, basically everybody's naked underneath it. So, you know, you may have a clothes or whatever, but that's not fundamentally yours. You're just habitually yours because you put some kind of clothes on. Just like you see sights, sounds, they're the clothes, aren't they? Things we seem involved with, and yet they wear out, they change, and you know, and you never. And so the really intimate stuff is your life force, right? As long as you're alive, you have a life force. No way you can separate yourself from that. When you're dead, you will, but you know, I mean, without deliberately harming yourself, you can't be separate from the life force. It just happens. It is you could say. Yeah. So we're very intimately involved with that. In fact, that's what's powering us. You know, life energy. It's called Ayu Sankara in Buddhist language. Sankara means a formative energy. But this is very fundamental, so fundamental you don't even really notice it, because you are it, in some respect. But you can notice it fluctuates. You feel sick and tired and worn out, you feel buzzy and bright and strong, you feel old, so it definitely fluctuates. But even more to the point, you know, we have this energy streaming into the body, keeping the body breathing. Kaya Sankara, bodily energy, bodily formative energy, keeps. And also, it also streams into our more immaterial qualities such as emotion and drive, more like heart energy. Goodwill, hatred, all heart energy. Again, we feel things. We're emotional beings. We're driven by our wishes. We're very intimately involved with that. It's a direct experience. We also have something called thinking, the ability to form abstract concepts, ideas, called Vajji Sankara. We can conceive of something. This is amazing, you know. You can bring India to mind, or what happened 10 years ago, you know, or all kinds of amazing things with it. So we have this capacity, you know. So this is what we're involved with. Now, thinking is part of what we're involved with. You know. It's not all of what we're involved with, you know, but it's part of what we're involved with. So we can use it. How do we use it to clear away what are essentially heart issues, such as ill will, worry, anxiety, depression, guilt, so on and so on and so on. These are heart issues, these are heart issues. How do we use thinking to clear these? Well, it can't directly, because thinking is about something that it just forms an abstract concept of it. The abstract concept is not alive, is it? You know, if we think of a law, that's not a living thing, that's an idea. So it can't deal with it. But what it can do is we can get the thinking mind and say, hey, what are you feeling? Because feeling is direct. We're very much involved with feeling. That's one of our fundamental conundrums, isn't it? I don't want painful feeling, I want pleasant feeling. So we're very involved with that. And that is basically our life quest, is to arrive at pleasant feeling, get away from unpleasant feeling. Thinking can't do that. But it can say, you know, what are you feeling? And where is your most comfortable, stable place? That's what you can do with it. And you keep doing that to a refined degree. Yeah. And we can do that to an extent to the body, and the way you do that with the body is you try to get it balanced and upright, steady. Relax what you don't need. Try to use the bones to hold your body up, relax the muscles. And then the breathing, you can direct your attention to that. You know? How am I breathing? What does it feel like? So this definitely has a soothing effect. Yeah? And we must be aware of, just being able to limit the thinking to the pointing, directing. How do you feel? What's happening? Yeah? For you, what's going on in your life now? Right now? Could you get it more settled and comfortable? So then, then you realize thinking isn't going to do it. It's going to tell me how I could get more comfortable, but it isn't going to provide it. It's like you can go to a restaurant and look at the menu. You can't eat the menu. It's not going to satisfy you. So just chasing thoughts isn't going to arrive at the ending of distress. And it's not going to arrive at clearing away doubt and worry. In fact, thinking is often propels doubt and worry. We think about what we are, what might be, and what's going to happen in the future. So this generates more. This is out of control thinking. And so you can't necessarily switch it off, nor is it actually encouraged. It's encouraged to master it, direct it to this process of inquiry. Where's the stress that you don't? Where are you stressing, driving, wanting, resisting? Could you get into that energy in the heart that is hungry and driving and not comfortable? Could you get in there and tune the heart in to the body? So the heart can listen to the brain, that thinking mind, or it can listen to the body. Body feels, and then feel that, and then we can think about it. The heart can then direct the thinking, but we turn it towards the body, and the thinking is subdued. And then you're getting some sense of comfort, and that the worry and the agitation of the heart is relaxed because it's feeling something comfortable that you don't really have to do, because breathing happens. You don't have to do it. Now, this is interesting because the sense of agreeable feeling, that quite a nice steady rhythm. It's not fantastic, but it's soothing if that's what you're looking for. But even more interesting, more important, is that as you follow that breathing, you come to these spaces where the breathing, micro pause between the out-breath and the in-breath, and you're tuning into something that you don't do, right? You don't do breathing, breathing happens. Very important to not over-meditate, trying to do breathing, or get good at it, or wonder which is the right way, because it just adds more pressure and more doubt. Trust the breathing, and then you enjoy it rather than worry about it. And so what's happening is the drive to do is being subdued. You don't have to do. A little bit of doing just to stay on track. Then if it gets more comfortable, the drive to do subsides, and particularly when you enter the out-breath, there's no drive to do. There's nothing to do. It goes, no. Silent. Now, that may not sound so great, but you feel it. It's not an auditory silence. It's a kind of sense of space, quietness, which is very steadying and releasing of agitation. So it's not what is there, it's what's not there. So we're not even trying to grasp silence as something we've got to have, but what's not there when the volition, the drive to do, pauses. What's not there? A load of stirring isn't there. Worrying about the future isn't there. Basically, all those things that seem so stuck are held by an energy. And the energy releases, they've got nothing to grip hold of. Right? Because, as you know, worry takes some energy, doesn't it? What we do, is this right? That's bubbly energy. Craving, I've got to get it. That takes some energy. Yeah. Doubting, maybe this, I don't know, could be that, or perhaps not. I don't know if I can really do it. It takes energy to do it. If you take the energy away, it's got nothing to support it. Huh? It's like you have electricity, you can power a lamp, or a fan, or a heater, or boil a kettle of water. They seem to be very different things. How do I deal with that? How do I deal with the kettle? How do I deal with the lamp? Pull the plug out. The whole lot shuts down. So you don't have to think about why you're worrying. Yeah. It's natural to worry. Natural for the thinking mind to worry, because it's trying to figure out how to organize things. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to do that. But it's like a car. You don't have to drive it 24 hours a day. You can park the thing. And then so it may seem boring, but when the heart experiences that, what's not there, and something else isn't there. Me. Now that may sound negative, but certainly the chitta is there. But that kind of memory and familiarity and me got to what am I, all that subtle form dissolves. That's a weight off the mind. And the heart is there when the mind stops, even momentarily. Yeah. So now, you're reviewing that, like, what do you want to do with your time? Yeah. Now, clearly, something that's nice, get some quiet and then be able to think things through. Yeah, you could do that. Find some space, settle down, feel comfortable, you could think of things you. Yeah, you could do that. If that's what you want to do. You really want to do it. It seems important to you. Yeah, it's your choice, your life. But I tell you check it out, there'll never be an end to multitasking. You just find something else, sort out. Absolutely. It doesn't stop. You'll stop. You're definitely going to stop. One day, the whole show's over, right? You're multitasking on your deathbed about how you're going to plan the funeral, who you're going to invite. So, yeah, you know. No, I mean, I can talk about this humorously because, of course, our lives, everybody's life, including mine, does involve a good amount of organising and planning and consulting and negotiating and looking at this, that and the other. Yeah, you know, and it can get so that the thing starts to, oh, I forgot all the details of everything, check this, check that, you know. But the relishing of it, and also the sense of, you know, since it's never going to stop, what would it be like to not know? To realize whatever you plan will not actually happen. Okay, I got my little ticket. Flight da-da-da-da-da at 1940. Okay, yeah, okay, we're going. I don't know actually what the traffic's going to be like. I've got no idea. It'll probably be more than I expected. So I don't really know if I'm going to even get there to the airport on time. I don't really know where we're going to park the car. Yeah. I don't know where the desk is. I've got to check in. I've got to figure these things. I can't figure it out. Then if I do all the check-ins, oh, flight delayed. 2040. Where did all that nice little plan go, you know? It never did happen. Exactly. I mean, something approximate to it happened. Yeah, I got to Singapore or wherever I was going to go, yeah. But roughly speaking, you can't. The plan isn't that accurate. And yet you can spend a lot of time adding little details to that. It's almost like a kind of a strange obsession to get every little detail lined up. Because of why? Why? Because we don't like not knowing. We feel uncomfortable with it. We feel insecure. We feel anxious about not knowing. Well, I'll tell you something. You don't know what the next day is going to be. When you had an accident, did you I'm going to have an accident in 5 minutes' time? No, you didn't. You didn't know that. Can you deal with anxiety? And and then they say, well, because anxiety is very normal. I get anxiety. But then what I do with it is I feel, okay, here's my body, that's for sure. Here's the breath, that's for sure. Here's the feet, that's for sure. Here's the space around me, that's for sure. The rest of it, I don't know. I don't like it, not knowing, but I really got to recognize I don't know. And deal with that wavering of the heart. You're okay now, that's all you know. And using that just to gently lever the heart away from that anxious thing. Yeah. So we can, of course, do our self-critiquing. I need to improve my health, I need to diet, I need to do more exercise, yeah. I need to improve my manners, I'm a bit rough on the edges, and this and the other. Yeah. Oh yes. You get into that, the list is endless. Right? The things I could do to improve myself, yeah. The things that are wrong with me, that could be better. I could be more popular, that would be nice. I could be more fun to be with. Yeah. I could be more independent. I could be more carefree. I could be carefree, independent, comfortable, efficient, organised, healthy, and relaxed at the same time. No, you couldn't. So how many things I'm going to try and do to improve myself before I get the message? Trying to improve yourself, there's a lot of suffering in that. What's wrong with you? Why don't you deal with that? What's that sense of there's something wrong with me? Where did that come from? Well, because I'm not the same as everybody. Well, of course you're not. But there's something wrong with everybody, if you look at it that way. You know, she's got diabetes, he's very irritable, he looks like he could lose some weight, you know, she's, yeah, so on and so on and so on. Join the club of people who've got something wrong with them. Now you could do that. Or you could say, what's right with me? Well, I don't kill people. I make an effort to avoid killing an ant. That's pretty good. You know? Why don't we do something that's actually celebrating? If you want to do self-referencing, why keep saying to yourself, what you're not. I'm not this, I'm not that. Why don't you just find out what you are? Right? So when you really get into it, you start, yeah, I am. Okay, yeah. Not. So there's the presence of conscience, concern. There's a sense of compassion. There's a feeling of, I try, I do make an effort, I'm sincere, I do try to do good. Oh, yeah, good. That's beautiful. You know, I try to be helpful to people. Oh, that's fine, nice, very good. So linger in that if you're going to do that. Because that will do, it'll provide us something whereby instead of itching, fretful feeling of why I could be better, fretting and worrying, you get into a feeling of contentment. Not stale contentment, like, actually I've got there's some good stuff here. If I linger in it and dwell in it, yeah, and foster it, it will grow. Because that's the nature of the heart. Yeah, the heart is a learning program. And it wants to learn what makes it more steady, stable and comfortable. Once we apply our attention to the good and the beautiful, the really good and the beautiful makes you feel more contented, and the citta starts to grow into that pattern by itself. Just like when you cut your skin, you don't have to tell the body how to heal. You don't have to urge it to heal. You don't have to say, how can I make it heal? Bodies do it. Similarly, when we enter the good, good is whole and healthy. And the citta enters that, it starts to heal itself of worry and doubt, self-criticism and aversion. Now this is really, if you want to think of anything, think of your virtues. If you don't like the word virtue, think of your strengths. If you don't like the word strengths, think of your happiness, you know, your joyfulness, where the good lies. Because it looks after itself and it grows. This is worthy of. Then you can use the thinking mind appropriately. And it feels, the good feels good. It's not just, I got it right. No, I feel good. And you don't have to ask the citta, to not want to feel good. to want, you don't have to say, try and feel good. It will want to feel good by itself. So you just apply it to where that is. Yeah. Now, when we're doing our daily tasks, okay, so busy doing stuff, this, that, start to think, well, look at the motivation. Why am I doing stuff? Why I want to keep the house clean. Why? Because it's healthier that way, and people will feel comfortable. Okay, good. Look at that. Look at your motivation. Feel happy with that. Yeah. Don't get into who's got the best house, the cleanest house, who's doing it. Don't get into that. Just look at the motivation, where you're coming from. Look at your intention. So you're busy sorting things out. Why? Well, I want to make things nice for people. That's very good. Yeah. You look at the heart motivation. And if you can't look at the motivation, it's a compulsion. Yeah? So the difference here, true motivation called chanda, you can check the motivation and you'll say, yeah, that's good. Now, blind motivation is compulsive. You check the motivation, I just got to do it. But why? Oh, everybody does it. Well, why? Well, I'm too busy right now. But why? What are you doing it for? Well, if I don't do it, the world's going to fall apart. No, come on. The blind motivation resists examination. It doesn't want you to see. It's not authentic. It's just compulsive. So then you check. If that's going on, then one is not mastering one's life. One is being dragged along by ignorance and craving. Worthwhile checking it out. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. So clearly I do quite a bit stuff. Am I doing stuff out? Basically, dana. I do dana. I do dhamma dana. You may think I'm helping people out. I hope I am. But also, I'm really using my heart. Using my heart. Yeah. And that feels good. Now, whether I'm any good at it or not, it's up to you. If you'll walk out and think, okay, well, that didn't work, did it? So, it's a sense in which you just, if I want to be on this planet with other human beings, I'm not separate from other beings. People are feeding me. And I care for people. And somebody got me born, and people help me out. And I care for people. So if I'm involved with this human thing, right, I've got to contribute. Otherwise you're not alive, are you? You're just kind of hanging on like you're a passenger on the bus. No, we're all drivers. So you want to drive your bit. But mostly out of generosity and love, rather than to be the best, which is just, who's the best? An idea, isn't it? So you can't, examining your motivations is a wise way to use thinking mind, just to direct it. And then you explore the feeling and the energy, whether it's driven, nagging, compulsive, or it's just, purposeful. That's the direction I want to go in. purposeful. And that is what gets, that's the thing that leads to enlightenment, to awakening. Chanda, it's a spiritual faculty. Well, okay. Nice little simple question. How do we develop equanimity? Well, yeah. Well, it's really a very high attainment. If you look in the Brahma-viharas, it's the 4th. If you look in the 10 paramita, it's the 10th. You look in the 7 factors of enlightenment, it's the 7th. It's always as far as you can go. If you cultivate all these other qualities, that's where they will lead to. Yeah? Because it takes a pretty developed heart to sense, to be able to open to equanimity. It means strength, it means honesty, truthfulness, it means kindness, it means collectedness, it means inquiring. Yeah? How is this? How is that? What's the nature of this? Where does this go? How do things change? So essentially, it begins to recognize, when there's a recognition of the nature of conditioned reality. Okay, no technical word. Everything that arises passes away. Everything that comes goes. Everything we gain, we lose. Everything we breathe in, we breathe out. Every success is followed by, sometimes it goes wrong. There's that seesaw of life, isn't there? Yeah. Some days I feel unhappy, some days happy. There's a seesaw. Yeah. And if you go down on one side of it, that seesaw, it's like, trying to be clear and happy all the time, then, you lose a sense of being able to accommodate. I feel pretty sick without going into a despair. So yes, I try to do what I can. So and so, and then and then somebody says, "You bore me stiff." Oh. Then you feel, I'm a failure. Not blamed, criticised. Oh yeah, okay, that's what happens for you. So we see that all conditions, all actions, just are very relative. Conditions are very relative. And so they just, instead of getting too fascinated or embedded or disgusted by conditions, you say this conditioned reality does this. Wobble, 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 wobble. Now, like those two sides of a seesaw, or if you like, a set of scales balancing on a pivot. Where's the pivot? Where's the pivot? Where's the balance? Where's the pivot? Can't find it. That's why you need to cultivate. And really, the kind of interesting thing is that the wider you go, the more that center balance becomes apparent. Yeah. And what do I mean by the wider you go? So the wider you go in terms of, for example, cause and effect. So he did this. Well, he's a bad person. He did this because of what somebody did to him. Oh, I see. Why did they do that to him? Because somebody else did that. Oh, I see. Eventually, where did the blame go? Did he do unskillful things? Yeah. Unskillful things. Can you blame him? Not really. Equanimous. Yeah. You made a big effort to make something good, it didn't work. Or it worked for some people, not for other people. That feeling of, why I didn't recognize people are different. Not everybody's able to receive, not everybody's available. It affects people different ways. You just keep widening your perspectives. And you think, yep. And then you find that balance where you're not wavering in terms of everything's going great, everything's fine, I'm doing on the top of the world, or I'm a failure, I could do better. You just, conditions are like this. Now that isn't saying we don't put any effort into doing the good, but we do the good because to do the good feels good. Right? Now, the results of that aren't something you can guarantee. So you linger in the intention and you relax the result. Yeah? And it may sound like a bit miserable, but actually the quality of equanimity is very peaceful and stable. It doesn't stop you feeling things, it doesn't stop you doing things, it just moderates how much pressure you put on to achieving success and how much dismay you experience over getting it wrong. New moment, try again. That keeps us fresh. But this is quite a profound thing to cultivate, and so we, trying to get the heart wide enough and big enough is both an emotional widening. I can accept the presence of failure, disappointment, okay, and then, if you like, an intellectual widening. Why do you look at the results of actions? Look at the causes of actions. Look at where they came from. Look at where they're going. Yeah. Look at what happens. Yeah. So just getting that, then you're no longer so naive about conditions, and you maintain a balanced, equanimous, but purposeful. In this quality of truth and purity of heart, of relaxing, releasing, karma effect, there is a peace that is not shutting off from reality. It's actually abiding like a still boat in a wavy ocean. So, okay, well, that's about all I can say in brief. Maybe it isn't that brief, but take what you can from these questions, and also a little bit the one tip that worked for you. Then that's great.